You ever notice how the moment you finally feel like you've built a little peace for yourself, someone out there decides that must mean it's time to come take it away? That's exactly how this nightmare started for me. I wasn't some rich guy with a family estate or a trust fund. I was a guy who spent decades in front of glowing computer screens, writing code for other people's dreams, until I had enough tucked away to buy a dream of my own. And after my wife passed, that dream was a little beach cottage on the Gulf Coast, weathered siding, sagging porch, a roof that groaned whenever it rained, but sitting on its own private strip of sand, where the waves did the talking and the world kept its distance. I rebuilt that place board by board with my own hands and named it after her Mara's watch. It was mine, it was free, and most importantly, it was well outside the reach of the local homeowners association, something I had triple-checked when I bought it. So imagine my face when I woke up one Tuesday morning, coffee steaming in my hand, only to find a thick envelope taped to my gate with the words, "Urgent." 24-hour notice to vacate stamped in blood-red letters across the front. No stamp, no return address. Just arrogance on paper. Inside was some ridiculous adjusted boundary evaluation, claiming my property had now been annexed into the neighboring HOA called Sandstone Shores. According to them, I was in violation of a dozen codes: wrong paint color, unauthorized solar panels, unapproved fencing. I laughed, tossed it in the trash, and thought that was the end of it. The next day, I heard the crunch of high heels on gravel and looked up to see her. The queen bee herself, 50-something, with bleach blonde hair and a navy blazer that probably cost more than my truck, marching up my porch like she owned it. Flanked by two board members, one looked like he'd faint if he stubbed a toe, the other built like a thumb with a mustache. She introduced herself as Patricia Lowell, president of Sandstone Shores HOA, with the kind of tone that made me wonder if I was supposed to salute. I didn't. "You received our notice," she said, voice sharp as broken glass. "If you mean that eviction cosplay you taped to my gate, yeah. I read it, filed it right in the trash." Her face didn't move, just got tighter. "Your property is now under HOA governance. You're in direct violation of multiple ordinances. Failure to vacate will be treated as trespassing." I let out a bitter chuckle. "Lady, this land was never part of your little empire. I've got the deed, the county exemption, the whole 9 yards. You can't just redraw lines like it's a board game." She smirked, smug and certain. "We voted. Annexation rights acquired. This will not end well for you." That was the moment I slipped my phone from my back pocket and quietly hit record. Something in her tone told me I'd need proof. As they left, she muttered just loud enough, "This won't end well." I sat back on my porch swing that night, cracked open a beer, and whispered into the waves, "Bring it." The next few days were a strange calm, the kind that makes your skin itch. No more notes, no more high-heeled invasions, just the gulls overhead and the ocean's hum. But I wasn't fooled. I dug up every document I owned, scanned, printed, laminated. I backed everything up 3 different ways. And then came Cody, my neighbor, early 30s tech guy, with a beard too perfect to be accidental. He walked in without knocking, carrying an energy drink. "You're not gonna believe this," he said. "I was at their meeting last night. They had a whole slideshow about you. Diagrams, arrows, circles around your house like you're some insurgent. They're calling you the last holdout." I shook my head. "Charming. Guess I'm famous. Patricia says you're illegally occupying their territory. Even suggested you're running some secret rental business." I laughed so hard I spilled my coffee. "Buddy, the only thing in my guest room is a broken dehumidifier." Cody leaned forward, grinning. "Look, they already think I'm harmless. I brought a tray of deviled eggs now they trust me. Let me be your eyes. I'll record their meetings forward emails. You need someone on the inside. And just like that, I had an unlikely partner. What followed was pure harassment dressed up in stationery. Certified letters, SUVs parked out front for hours, drones buzzing over my roof. One night I found a handwritten note under my doormat. You're not wanted here. Sell quietly or someone will make sure you're gone. That's when I stopped treating this like neighborhood drama. I installed hidden cameras inside the porch light in the mailbox, even in a fishing buoy hanging by the door. I baited them too, left a metal case with fake property documents visible through my window. When it was time to fight back, I called Eva Torres, an attorney known for tearing abusive HOAs apart. She was in her 30s, sharp tongue, sharper instincts, and the kind of reputation that made board presidents wake up sweating. She read my file, looked me in the eye, and said, "Good. I like idiots like these." Within a week, she filed a cease and desist, plus a temporary restraining order against Sandstone Shores and Patricia personally. And when Cody smuggled out their so-called boundary map, Ava nearly fell out of her chair laughing. They'd taken a screenshot off Google Maps and crudely photoshopped my lot into it. She held it up in court and said, "Your Honor, even a teenager with Microsoft Paint could do better." The judge didn't laugh, but he didn't need to. He signed the restraining order on the spot. I thought maybe that would scare them off. I was wrong. Two men showed up at my door one evening. Big guys built like they'd worked security gigs before. Black polo, sunglasses, no smiles. "Mr. Hale," one asked. "Depends who's asking. We represent a party interested in resolving your situation peacefully. Drop the restraining order, agree to oversight by the HOA, and there won't be trouble." I smirked. "Are you offering me a plea deal in my own living room?" They didn't smile. It's better than the alternative. I leaned against the doorframe. "Gentlemen, I already have representation. Her name's Ava. Maybe you've heard of her. Sued an HOA so hard they renamed the neighborhood. Now, unless you've got a warrant or a suitcase full of cash, get off my property. Oh, and my fence is recording you." They left, but not for long. 2 nights later, just after dusk, they came back. This time, they didn't knock. The porch light caught them twisting the doorknob before they kicked it clean in. I barely had time to grab the bat by the fridge before one shoved me hard, another slammed a boot into my ribs. They dragged me toward the door, muttering, "Stop resisting," like they were cops. I remember thinking, this is it, they're going to throw me in a trunk. But then I heard voices, my neighbors. Cody charging with a flashlight like a weapon, and old man Reuben barefoot screaming like he was back in Vietnam, shovel in hand. They swarmed my porch, yelling, swinging. The goons panicked, bolted into their black SUV, and tore off. I woke up in the hospital with a fractured rib, bruised kidney concussion, but alive. And Ava already had the footage clear as day, time-stamped audio included. Cody even caught their license plate. Within a week, cops tracked them down. One of them flipped almost immediately. His name was Marcus, and he admitted they'd been hired, paid through a shell account called Sandstone Advisory, LLC. And the kicker, he had text messages from Patricia herself. "Don't leave a mark. Just scare him. We need the property." When Ava showed me those texts, I felt something hot and steady rising in my chest. Not fear this time, but satisfaction. We filed for criminal charges, conspiracy, harassment, violation of a restraining order. Patricia tried to run, drained her accounts, and vanished into the Rockies under a fake name. But you can't outrun justice forever. Marshals found her at a resort spa in Colorado, sipping martinis while her empire crumbled. Meanwhile, the courtroom showdown went exactly the way you'd hope. Ava laid out everything: harassment letters, fake maps, surveillance, the assault, and finally the texts. Cody testified, explaining how Patricia manipulated meetings, rewrote minutes, covered financial fraud. He played an audio clip of her snarling, "We can't wait for him to die in that shack. We take it now." The room went dead silent. The HOA tried to claim she acted alone, but Ava had proof they reimbursed her expenses while she was in hiding. The judge didn't hold back, restraining order, upheld permanently, the board barred from my property, and the entire HOA referred for a federal racketeering investigation. Organized crime laws for a bunch of clipboard warriors. Patricia now faces 4 felony charges. Her hired muscle each got a decade behind bars. And Sandstone Shores, collapsing from the inside board resignations, lawsuits, insurance dropped. Neighbors who once stayed quiet started stepping up, telling their own stories of harassment. Ava turned my fight into a class action hammer, and suddenly it wasn't just about me. When the dust settled, I hosted a barbecue on the beach. Strung up lights, cleaned the porch, rebuilt the steps where one of the goons had cracked the wood. My neighbors came barefoot, folding chairs, sinking into the sand, drinks in hand. Cody raised a bottle and shouted, "To Owen Hale, the guy who reminded us property still means something." I groaned, but when this crowd cheered, I felt something I hadn't in years: belonging. And later, standing barefoot in the dark, with bourbon in hand, waves licking the shore. Mara's watch behind me scarred, but standing, I realized something. They tried to take everything from me: my home, my peace, maybe even my life. But all they did was prove I wasn't standing alone. So let me ask you, what would you have done? Would you have fought back against an HOA that came for your home? Or would you have folded under the pressure? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Share your own stories. And let's talk about where the line really is between community and control. Because if you ask me, the second they sent goons to my door, that line was crossed. And I wasn't the one who ended up behind bars.